Backup is brought to you by the best evil person we know, Wormtongue. Too long as he watched my sister. Too long as he haunted her steps. Oh, sorry, I mean evil spy boy. But I guess I could say the same thing about him. Get your exclamation mark spy boys out in the chat because he's a generous Patreon support. Spy boy is bringing the backup. He's hoping you bring the generosity to Food Bank Australia. You know the deal. Food Bank, Australia's largest food relief organisation. And Evil Spy Boy's like, hey, you know what? These people could use a hand. They provide 88 million meals a year. That's 241,000 meals a day, hopefully to more than one person, because they couldn't eat all that food, Gus, to more than 2,600 charities around the country. So this person is just hopping across the country to 2,600 different charities, just eating meals. There's all these hungry people, and there's one fuckwit is taking it all.
Changing hats and mustaches at each one every time. Going, oh, I'm a little hungry today. Changing
well,
hats.
technically they wouldn't need to, right? Because it's or do you think that there's a poster of this person up?
Do not feed this person.
Yeah. Anyway, head to foodbank.org.au. There's a link in Nightbot to donate there. And also, I do want to say that the Evil Spy Boy did reach out and said, you know, there's someone else he's trying to help, and that's Multifish in our community. Multifish loves. Is it Pashito? How do we pronounce this one?
Yes, Pasito.
It's Pasito, yeah, the drink. Multifish loves that. And is
that an American soda pop?
No, that's the passion fruit. That's the passion fruit.
We had like Pasciano or something.
Pasciona?
Pasciona. That's what we had.
Yeah,
I think so.
Well, I don't
Yeah,
know what the hell
Pasito
Pasito is. Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, whatever it is, Multifish loves it. Doesn't have it. Evil Spy Boy has it all the time. Evil Spy Boy constantly tells Multifish whenever he's having it, to the point that he has also bought the domain tasteofmultifish.com, and it redirects to a big W listing for a carton of Pasito. So there's a lot going on there.
Wow. That's next level.
Okay, good. Kit Carnage says we have both, so I think it's still the same drink. I think it's
Okay.
It's just all right. We're done with the talk about Evil Spy Boy. All right, you've paid your money. You've got your segment intro. I hope you're happy. Let's move on with the news.
Battery talk.
What happened? Battery talk.
Battery chat.
A lot happened last week, mainly around Sony PlayStation, because there was a Sony State of Play happen sort of the second half of last week, and a bit was announced. Most of it was things that we already knew and we got a bigger look at, but something we didn't know was coming is a game called Deathverse. This is, I mean, this is everything you need to know about that game in that one shot there and that font. Deathverse is a sequel to Let It Die, which was a roguelike from Grasshopper Manufacturer. So that's Suda51's development studio. I've never played this game. A roguelike that had players climbing up a tower, killing everything in their paths. This is a spiritual successor / sequel to that game, and it seems to be a radically different genre. It's a multiplayer survival action game, and it looks a bit like a cross between a brawler and a battle royale. Gus, I thought out of all of us, this could be your thing. Tonally, it's my thing.
It's totally your thing, yeah.
I don't care about the gameplay. This could be you. How did you feel about Deathverse?
Oh, look, I'm impressed by it. Like, it's nice to see a trailer for something and think, I have not seen anything like that this year, let alone maybe in my lifetime. And yeah, in that sense, it's cool. It's ambitious. I agree with you. Like, tonally, I could come around to this kind of over-the-top, crazy mixing of art styles and whatever genres are going on here, if it's like an interesting take on, like, as you said, a survival brawler. That's kind of cool. I like that. I think survival, what do you call them? Battle Royale shooters have run their course, and I think it's batteries. I think it's cool to see Battle Royale-esque games with a different take where it's map or combat style. So yeah, in that sense, I think if it's got a cool kind of like, I was getting vibes of what was that Souls-like that was all mechanical with like limbs?
The Surge, the Surge,
Scouring.
Was it the Surge?
Surge. I think it was Surge. I think
Surge, you're right.
Yeah,
it kind of looks like that combat style with like the mix of two-handed, one-handed, and and that was a really fun take on like a combat style. I like that. So I think this could be fun. Whether or not I find this over the top level of presentation endearing or grating, I will have to find out when I play it. But I definitely think you can watch the cutscenes and I'll play the gameplay, Nick.
Sounds like a good way to get through a lot more video games than we currently get through.
Totally.
Pete, are you into this?
No, but I would say from just from what I know of Grasshopper Manufacturer, that this while that kind of dance hall thing looks like it's stylish, everything else looks just a bit generic. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing. It doesn't look like it's not a nice looking game. It doesn't really look like it has much of a style to it either. It kind of all just feels like random assets thrown together.
Kind of industrial tower build vibe is a bit plain, yeah.
Yeah, whereas you think about like Suda51's other stuff, like it's very much about like iconic looking things, and like there's nothing in this that is striking except her with the gold arm. But she doesn't look like she's in the game anywhere other than those cutscenes, so I don't know.
I'm getting Lawbreakers vibes as well. That's how I felt about Lawbreakers. It's just this thing of like, oh, all of you kind of like, you just feel like, again, we use this reference all the time, but the game that would be made in an episode of Law and Order where the kid who plays this game is the killer. That's the sort of tone I get from this. But this was sort of like a big announcement for them. So we'll see how it goes. It could be good. We don't know. It's coming to PS4 and PS5 in spring next year, and that's all we know. Next up, something that I think was awesome. We Are OFK. This is a like. I did not know what this was. This is like a narrative episodic game. I believe it's episodic. And it's about a band in LA called OFK. And this is a game about them putting together their first album. I have done, let's say, 10 minutes research on this, and I still don't know whether or not it's a real band. I don't think it is. It is a real band.
I think this is more a band than a video game.
Everything I've heard around
this is like guerrilla
bands.
style, like cutscenes based around tracks.
It is.
Yeah.
Because the only stuff I could find was stuff about this band talking about this game. So maybe I guess
point.
It's their debut EB. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. It's like it's like a counterpoint to the Radiohead experience, which is like, let's just put you in a 3D space and let you listen to. Which album is it?
Isn't it OK Computer? No.
Is it? Yeah, I can't remember. But
a Radiohead album.
Yeah, a Radiohead album. But this is like, we've made an album for the purpose of making it interactive.
Right.
And that's how the first time you'll experience it is Amnesiac. Oh, it's G'day.
I am massively into this. I think this was really funny. These people, I hope their music is good because, well, it doesn't really matter if their music is good or not because I think they have a career in game design and rock. The trailer was really funny. It was super self-aware about the fact that they were making a trailer for Sony State of Play. I thought the relationships were all really charming. I thought the voice acting was good. I like the look of this. I like that you get to like flirt and up and make friends and all that sort of, like, I think this is awesome.
This is more your game than the last one.
Yeah.
This doesn't really do much for me.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think I went the other direction, and on the initial watching of this trailer was kind of, I'm probably like in the majority of the skeptical internet, kind of like, ugh, stop trying. Like, I don't know, there's a bit of that vibe. Like, it just felt like,
stop trying.
Don't try and charm me too much before I get to play this game. Well, no, in the way that it tries to be disarming, in the way that they're self-aware of the trailer and what they're making. And in that sense, I was not receptive to it initially. I can see what you mean, Nick, and I think there is something maybe really sweet in all of this, as long as it's not a giant PR stunt from a record label to try and push a band that are terrible or that aren't really people, that are just
it's totally some
like
fucking
voice
Sony
actors.
music.
It could be some cash grab.
We know the guy who came up with this idea.
On second and third viewing, I think like maybe I'm a little more on your side, Nick, of it could be quite charming. My main skepticism now lies in how much of a game this is and how much of those like conversation flirty things are maybe. I wonder how much of an interactive movie this is, which could be still a great thing, but I think if it's sold as a game, that could be, you know, a little bit of a missed sales pitch. Like, I feel like, yeah, as I said, a bit more of a movie than a game, maybe. But that's because we're not really seeing gameplay. We're seeing designed trailer footage here, and maybe that's what the whole thing is. But yeah, it's different. I guess that's the thing I can leave it with. I don't know. Don't charm me.
Don't charm me.
Leave it with that.
You hate Lindsay.
But you were charmed.
No, I wasn't. I could see what they were trying to go for. It was a little, too sickly sweet. Saccharine or whatever they say.
I totally know what you mean. And normally I'm on your side with that. Normally, like, you know, I hate when you put a cat in your game because I know what you're doing. You're just
like a phantom cat
because everyone likes
a phantom
cats.
cat in your phantom cat game.
Yeah, no. For whatever reason, there's something about this. I was like, I think they executed the thing well. So yeah. Anyway,
because all the characters rated your closet.
You're such a fucking weeb, Nick.
Yeah, all the characters
are not Japanese people.
You wear the anime suck shirt, but you love all that shit.
That's not anime.
I know it's not anime because it's not
based.
Yeah,
American
but it's the same
assholes.
sensibilities. It's the exact same sensibility, and that's what
they drive around in a car with a phantom cat wearing oversized jumpers and backwards hats. You love it.
Oh god! I feel so much self-loathing. Moving on. There's something else that looks pretty cool. I'm the only person in the entire team. There's 6 of us now.
Yeah.
Yes. Who finished Bugsnax? Actually, no. Maybe Ben finished it.
Maybe Ben finished it.
Right, yeah.
Will played a bit of it. I remember. I don't think he finished it. So yeah, it might be you and Ben, but definitely not us.
And so Bugsnax is getting some free DLC. It's a pretty big expansion by the looks of it. So big, it's called Big Snack. Or Big Snacks, sorry. So the Isle of Big Snacks is coming to Bugsnax, and within this, it's a substantial update that adds, it's like 30 new Bugsnax, or maybe it's 18 new Bugsnax, 30 new activities to do. You can put hats on your Bugsnax.
Yeah.
There's a house that you can decorate and sort of like whatever. But this, I'm totally here narratively because while the idea of building a house and putting hats on things is like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like I never really go in for that thing, but I really loved the story of Bugsnax and it got very weird. And the idea that there is more of that coming is super cool. And the fact that it's free, also amazing. If anyone is still sleeping on Bugsnax, I really recommend checking it out. It's like a really fun 6 hours of your time. But yeah, I mean, you guys haven't. Did you even play it?
No, I still didn't even touch it. So it's I'd like to come back to it and try it eventually. But yeah, this is cool that it's free and for people who loved it. And yeah, that's more of that, please. More just like
too many video games. There are too many.
There really are.
And in this way, they're putting like second video games inside the original video game. Yeah. It's like with Bugsnax, I was like, good. Like, in fact, one of the things that appealed to me about Bugsnax
so you can put a pin in it and be like, I'm done.
I can play it in 2 sessions and it's over. And now suddenly there's a whole new game there, and simply being the original. I don't quite know what we're complaining about, but we are. Okay, now you called me a weeb earlier, Pete. This is where I fall off the weeb bandwagon hard. Let's talk about Star Ocean: The Divine Force. Okay, the most JRPG thing that I've seen recently. This is a big deal for people who do love the Star Ocean series because it's the first game since 2016 in the series. And I looked it up. Everyone hated that
every
game.
single one.
They all hated it. And so it's a 25-year-old franchise. In this one, Raymond is a spaceship captain who wields a massive great... Yeah, no. Who wields a massive
Everybody
great
loves
sword.
Raymond.
Everyone hates
They all wield massive great swords, and Leticia, described by Square Enix as the Princess Knight of a kingdom on an underdeveloped planet. Don't even know what that means.
Underdeveloped.
Yeah. The Divine Force aims to blend both sci-fi and fantasy, telling the story of Raymond and his crew after they are stranded on the planet Asta 4, home to the medieval kingdom of Acarus, which is at war with the neighboring Vial Empire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tale as old as time.
It sucks. I feel like we need to fire someone and hire on who's into this, because I feel like when this stuff comes up, we just never give it the attention that I'm sure like a large amount of community is like, no, we stop talking shit about Raymond.
We love Raymond. No. They know where to go to. They know where to go to find people that also enjoy this stuff, and it's not here.
Apparently, it's every reviewer on IGN. These games can't be this good. Every time a JRPG comes out, IGN's like, it's a 9 easily. I just don't understand what's going on.
It feels like sometimes just watching trailers for these things, they cast such a wide net over their art styles, over their gameplay systems, over their types of, like, it's a catch-all for everything in a video game. So it's like, of course it's going to be a 9 because some of this has to appeal to you, because they just feel unfocused for me, and I think that always drives me a bit nuts from like a Western perspective. So yeah, no, it's not going to be me. That's what I can be sure to say.
Gat in the chat said that he'll review it for a pay rise, and we don't pay him, and we don't plan on
We can triple his pay.
Multiples of 0.
I like that.
You're done.
But Loki Cat said, I'll review it for muffins. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to call an audible here. Loki Cat, if you want to put together a review of this game, a video-based review,
We will Uber Eats you some muffins and read it.
we'll Uber Eat you some muffins, or we'll send you a basket of muffins. We'll do some muffin-based payment for you if you're into that. Don't feel obliged, but if you don't, of course, you will not receive any muffins.
This should now be a new segment for Main Show on Thursday, where we get user-submitted reviews that are video pieces that are paid for by food and only food, and then we play them on the show. And then at the end of it, we rate it out of the food that we sent them.
This is why I think that out of all Australian streamers, we do the best job at constantly integrating food and food delivery services into our show. And so I just don't understand. I mean, that's probably why we haven't been sponsored by one of them yet, because we just do it for free. But that could be a great segment that we just go, we $150 Uber Eats credit to someone and ship them a bunch of meals and go, this is, you need to put together a video review based, we'll power you for 2 days.
Feed review or something, where we feed them for reviews.
Review, feed you.
Review, feed you. Oh, Peter.
That's good.
It's not good.
That's good.
Very good. It's good. Go with the first one.
Go with the first. Always go with the first one.
Go with your gut. The working second name for that segment.
Good.
Go with your gut.
Go with your gut.
Go with the first one. Good. So, yep, Loki Cat.
That's a game.
If you're into that, there you go. Another game. So we heard about Little Devil Inside. I think it was about a year ago. I think it was 2020. It was 2020. And it's sort of, there was a trailer there. It looked like it had some pretty heavy Legend of Zelda vibes going on with it. Then they just went dark for ages. There was a bit of thing about some enemy designs having some racist tones to them, which the developers came out and were like, sorry, we didn't know, whatever, and then they've changed those enemy designs. And we just hadn't heard any more about this game. And then before the State of Play, Sony said, oh, we are going to be having a deeper look at this. This was like closing out the show with a pretty big, in terms of, it was 4 minutes, but big compared to the rest of the State of Play, look at Little Devil Inside, which I thought should have made me really excited for this game, and didn't really. But I did think that Gus might like. Was that right?
You were right. I thought this looked stunning. I don't really remember the first announcement of it, so a lot of that stuff went by me, and this felt fairly fresh. But I don't really understand what this game is, and I love that. Like, in terms of, it just looks like it was pivoting from one kind of style and sort of, just like focus point to another, and I think I love it. Like, I love the blending of... I think I'm in love. Like, I thought it was going to be from early viewing, and Pete, if you scrub through, I thought this was the predominant part of the game, but to see that there is like quite a little sort of hack and slash.
We're going to talk about this for 4 minutes and we'll see that.
Okay, sure. Yeah, the game actually develops into this little RPG hack and slash. I love the art. I hope the gameplay is just as good, because all I can really take from the trailer is how stunning this is visually, and so that's what I love about it. And I think it's a really sweet take on the kind of like, it reminds me of like what old Dragon Quest and old early Final Fantasy was, with that like, or even I think Ni no Kuni did it a bit, where you zoomed out and kind of moved a little cute avatar between regions and then zoomed in and focused in on the game. But here with the tilt shift perspective and the that kind of like little diorama model vibe, and just everything's cutesy. Look at the sheep, look at the trains, look at the little modes of transport. Like, it's adorable. But yeah, the gameplay we see a little bit later on hopefully is as fun in terms of the more immediate action stuff. But yeah, this is very, very eye-catching, and it caught my eye. And then to, yeah, as I said, switch into this far more detailed game later on looks stunning. And from what I remember, if at the end there is a bit of an action focus to a degree, which looked a little clunky.
Totally. I think all we saw, like, I think that what this trailer showed for the first half was literally what you do in the first 15, 20 minutes of the game. Because it feels like the idea of coming to this manor where you get kicked down into a pool with a monster in it is like, that's what the game is. It's like
the inciting incident.
The cute world that you just saw is actually, there's a bunch of monsters raiding the land and you got to defend it, not just be a mailman for the day.
Yeah.
Which is like, I have an affinity for, like, and it's a very JRPG thing of the like overworld, like isometric overworld kind of look, running around and then jumping into combat, particularly when the drop in is to something so stunning. I just don't. I think it looks like. I think it'll be all looks and no substance. What I get from the trailer, I just don't
runs
think
that risk.
Yeah, I just don't think there's going to be that much
behind
the cool ideas and the really cool art.
And the art style we're seeing here, obviously, for anyone listening to this, it's like, you know, it's a beautiful, like, little toy craft set almost, with like the way they transform from little 3D renders into like babushka dolls and train toy sets and stuff. But one thing I really like is the combination of like a menu and inventory system that's done with a really clean, iconic sort of almost opacity like focused art style that is just like, yeah, it's just a really clean way to show all your items and your menus. And that's something that I like. I have a aversion to menus and things that really get in the way of something looking pretty, and that looks like the most minimalist art style for a menu that I've seen in a long time, and I love it. I think that could be a really nice way to not draw focus from how pretty the rest of the game is.
Menus of the year category in our game.
We should.
Well, for me, the menus need to be they need to be the less impactful and least noticeable versus the ones that are just like rammed down your throat. And this looked like a great solution for that. So yeah, that was something that stood out weirdly.
I think everyone should be allowed to pick one category for Game of the Year that like you apply to. Like, everyone has to vote on this. See, I'm totally with Pete, and that was my vibe. I was like, this looks incredible. Like, it totally looks beautiful and gorgeous. And I was just like, none of this actually looks fun. And it's a 4-minute trailer, and half of the trailer was basically a cutscene. So, you know, totally talking as someone who doesn't really know anything about the game. But from in terms of like it trying to grab me, I was just looking at it going like, this gameplay doesn't look fun to me. It looks like I'm going to spend a lot of time in that overworld, wandering around really slowly as a thing, or in that like everything sort of happens like slowly and with design. And Gus, I feel like I'm with you in terms of like, I think that I would like menus to look nice and that sort of thing, but it doesn't look functional to me. It looks like we've abstracted the information so much that I wish that
there's nothing left.
Yeah, that like to me a menu, it's like it needs to look good, but most importantly, I need to be able to just like understand it. That's why it's there. It's not the game; it's just the overlay. I'm kind of looking at that, going like, oh, okay, I guess you've committed to the picture thing, so now everything needs to be a picture, and I really hope that I will be able to like quickly be able to understand that. That's a little bit, but yeah, I think my main thing is just that like it just doesn't look like it would necessarily be fun to play. But I would like to be wrong about that, because it does look gorgeous, and so I would like to have this on a screen in front of me for 6 or 10 hours.
I get some, strangely enough as well, I get like a combination vibe from a little bit of Death Stranding in terms of the plottingness of maybe how everything was moving speed-wise, but also I think it was called Lone Farshore, which was like a really slow but beautiful...
The Farshore.
Oh, so no, Lone Shores, or there was another one that was like a side-scroller where you took like this vehicle across a desert on a like left-to-right linear game, and it was really slow and really plodding, and it was really about getting all the way across the screen, kind of Limbo-esque, and it's like... I like a game that decides to pump the brakes so hard sometimes that it's like walking through molasses. Like again, why I enjoyed Death Stranding, and I feel like if there is a bit of a pace thing with that game, as you said, quite slow. I don't know. That kind of appeals to me sometimes if I'm in the mood for it. So, yeah, pump the brakes.
You do have the weirdest taste out of the three of us when it comes to like how you value your time.
Yeah.
So that was the big thing that they rounded out the show with. Oh, I did just want to say, Evil Spy Boy in the chat said when there used to be car shows, friends and I would go and find the car with the best cup holders. Menus has the same energy there. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
So Little Devil Inside was the big close off to the show. We'll just kick through the rest of this and stop me if there was anything interesting with the rest of the announcements. First up, Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach will be released on December 16th. So this is the first-person Five Nights at Freddy's horror game coming out at the end of the year. Death's Door is coming to PlayStation as well on the 23rd of November. Death's Door is a game that I strongly recommend, but I don't think it's a must-play this year. But if you want something to spend, 7-8 hours with, you could do a lot worse this year, and it definitely gets better in the second half of it.
Coming out on Switch too, which I think will be a really nice place for that, because I've only got it on PC, and that's kind of why I never finished it. So
right.
Yeah.
And apparently if you pre-order it on PlayStation, you get Titan Souls for free, which was that dev's original name.
Yeah, cool.
And Titan Souls is pretty good. Kart Rider Drift. This is a... this is like...
Here it is, guys. Here's your kart game.
This is your kart game.
It's going. They only announced it's going into early access, which is like, what?
Well, it's going into
not
beta.
Even a full release.
Yeah,
beta,
but it's going into beta with 30 tracks.
Yeah.
So
Weird.
That's wild. That's like 30 tracks is a huge. Even Mario Kart. That's like Mario Kart levels of tracks that you're getting.
That's a finished game with possible busted, broken servers that they need to test. So
totally,
for multiplayer.
I
terrible.
don't know what to tell you. It looks like a kart game. King of Fighters 15. There's a beta test for that coming up for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. You can play this next month as part of their stress test for their servers. And then finally, First Class Trouble, which I think Steph played this.
Yeah, she played
a little bit
played
of
some
this.
of the early access for sure, yeah.
Yeah. This is that sort of Among Us style social deduction, betray your friends game, but set on, I believe it's a floating space boat.
Yeah, it's like a 60s spaceship, but literally a ship, like a P&O cruise liner.
Yeah, and I think Steph really liked parts of it, but found that she was getting lost a lot. Like the idea of like running around that ship became hard to keep track of where you were going, and there was some annoying bits and pieces there. But it was still, I think it was still in early access then, so they may have changed quite a bit about that. So now you can play it on PlayStation. And that is everything announced at the Sony State of Play. I would give this one a solid 6.5 out of 10.
Oh, score.
A score. Oh, wow. We had a whole
nice.
conversation about how we would never do this.
I don't know. That Raymond game, 9 from me.
That's a 9 for... Well, the name Raymond in a JRPG gets a 10 out of 10. We are OFK and Bugsnax are the two big things for me.
Fair enough.
Yeah. It wasn't a lot, but it's nice to have just like an update. I think
totally.
I think that they just need to establish, and they have been, that not every state of play is going to be a mind-blowing, in-house Insomniac, Naughty Dog.
I was going to say, like,
crazy affair.
There was no PS. Everything coming out in this state of play was for PS4 as well, I believe. So nothing was PS5 exclusive.
Interesting.
So it's like
Bugsnax?
that.
Oh, no, PS4. Yep.
That's PS4 as well, yeah.
So it was interesting that it's like, here's a
Might
lot
just
of
be
little
Little
like
Devil Inside. I don't know about that, but
yeah,
that's,
right.
like,
Well,
so far
again, as you said, Pete, no real groundbreaking PS5. Here's the new glossy update on something huge. So I think it was almost like a Nintendo's version of it, kind of thing. That's the vibe I got anyway. Yeah. Kind of
Nintendo's.
Isn't it?
Nintendo's?
Don't they call it?
Is that what they call it?
Sure. They do like, no, they've done Nintendo Directs, which are just about indies, and they call them Nindies or something.
Oh,
They
right,
do.
okay.
Yeah. It's when they do
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about...
you were just being very quiet.
Yeah. I think... To me, I thought you were talking about little chicken tendies.
Little tendies.
He's like,
That's definitely what I was talking about. Speaking of blow your mind, Peter, was your mind blown by the Halo Infinite campaign trailer that came out last week? It's been a while since we've seen anything on the Halo campaign. The first time we saw it, roundly dismissed by the internet. It caused 9 months worth of stories about, is this going to be the worst Halo game yet? Halo's in trouble, Master Chief's dead, and then the multiplayer betas come out and people are like, this is the greatest that Halo's ever been, Master Chief will live forever, everything's awesome. Now how do you feel about Halo?
Look, I mean, I was excited about it a year ago. I feel I feel like it was a bit of an overreaction to a trailer that was like, an early build. Obviously, having 12 months has helped a lot to keep working the systems and doing a bunch of rebuilding. But the real shake up to the system is just seeing more gameplay in a kind of open world Halo, which hasn't existed before. Mm-hmm. They've had big maps in Halo campaigns before, but they've been point-to-point linear on big maps, whereas this is like, go and have fun in this big sandbox, which is looking really cool. I think I often find that sandboxes, there's a lot of Just Cause, there's a lot of Far Cry in this, but I find sometimes with those games that while the sandbox is cool, the tools in it aren't necessarily the most exciting. And so they do, Far Cry famously does crazy stuff. There's stupid weapons, stupid vehicles, that kind of thing. Whereas everything in the Halo universe makes sense from a lore perspective and a world perspective, and is a fun tool to have in that scenario. Banshees, lots of flying vehicles, lots of ground vehicles, all the new grappling tools and movement tools that they've built in that we've seen in the multiplayer, I think will be fun to navigate the world with. So my only concern is okay, you've got this big thing that people can choose where they go. How do you then generate the iconic moments that Halo did so well, particularly in the first 3 games? And can they? How are they going to funnel you towards those and make sure that there's moments that feel like big set pieces, as opposed to just clearing out a base using your tools? And I think based on what we've seen, they've shied away from showing us too much of that, but have shown us that these kinds of things are there. But whether they'll live up to some of the bigger moments from the earlier campaigns, I don't know. But I'm excited to just play a different Halo because 343, I think, did a fantastic job with the campaign of 4, and then didn't know what to do from there. And 5 was narratively bad. I think there was still action moments, but it just kind of felt undercut by this storyline that felt like it didn't really work in the Halo world. So I think as long as there's enough of a narrative thread to pull you through and there's enough big moments in it, it should feel fun and it'll feel at least new.
I got a little concerned watching this one because I'm a huge fan of open world games and open world action first person games. I think they are intrinsically just they have a lot of replayability in them. But the whole time I've seen the development of this game, I've felt like it is a response to everyone saying their favorite Halo, or one of iconically the most famous Halo missions, is the first one in 1, where you have this semi-open that you land on the ring for the first time. There's a bunch of little bases that you need to go to, and you can do them in any order. And it was kind of feels kind of like where this game has finally got round to circle back on saying we're going to try and capture that, but we're going to build a full game or a full map around it, which is cool. I like the idea of that, but I also love Halo probably for those linear set pieces and those experiences. And I don't doubt that they've found ways, whether it's once you're in the outposts themselves through linear indoor levels, or maybe there's canyon versions of sections that you need to go through in a certain way. I'm sure that 343 are smart enough to not just make this a game that you can break by flying a Banshee into every mission or something. But it's I do, a little part of me goes, I loved that first mission in Halo. I've replayed it so many times in my life, but it is still a linear level. It is still 4 areas to check out in this bite-sized chunk of Halo. And so, like, I don't know. The more I see of this, the more I go, like, I don't know if I love the idea of Halo being open world. I'm ready to be proven very wrong, but it's not doing the same thing for me as watching like a Far Cry trailer and going like, oh, look at how much time I can get lost running around this world. And it's not trying to be that exactly, but my immediate takeaway was not to fall in love with the idea of you can run around a huge open Halo. And maybe, as I said, they might actually drip feed it out in a little more of a linear process. It just feels open the whole time you're opening up that map, I think. I don't think they're going to drop you in and say, Mission 2's over, Halo. I'm sorry, they called the main guy Halo. Jesus Christ.
Well, that's okay. I called him Master Chef.
You called him Master Chef, which people have done since the first one as a joke, but no one's called him Halo, like...
That's correct.
Mr. Halo. The second
Call him by his real
go,
name, Zelda.
No one's going to say, like, you've got the whole world now to run around and enjoy, finish the game in whatever order, you know, clear 90% of the Halo ring and then you've won the game. So I think it is still going to, like, probably cleverly channel you through the narrative. I'm a little nervous now after seeing this one. I don't know why. Yeah.
I think that, because I feel a bit the same, but obviously, like, I barely have any Halo experience, so, like, I just feel like I'm just going to wait and play the game and then make a decision. I think mainly the gameplay all looked really fun, and I know that it is because I've now played the multiplayer flight, and I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to do this. I think that for me, it was like a tonal thing with this trailer. That you're right that it's going for it, like it's now more of an open world thing, but they didn't make an open world trailer in the same way a Far Cry or a Red Dead or like developers who make open world games make trailers, because oftentimes like those trailers are about, like Pete said, all the different things you can do, and this had less of that. But by being this open world thing where there's not like you're being funneled down this corridor and this event is going to be scripted to happen at this moment, it didn't actually feel to me like a single player game. I was watching it the whole time going, this looks exactly like the big team battle that I played, and it just seems like there's less people running around in it. And so it didn't feel to me like a campaign trailer. It felt like just footage of Halo, or a campaign overview. I didn't really get a sense of like how this is going to play as a story being played out, if that makes sense. So
again, yeah, that's what I think they've shown us very little of, because it's like, I'll be surprised if it's not in there. I think what they're showing us is this is a new type of Halo, because this has never existed in Halo.
Yeah, it's almost like a trailer for Halo fans as opposed to a trailer for getting people into Halo. Because I think it's quite an awful trailer for Halo.
There's no story in this trailer.
But it's like a good, like, here's how you will be playing Halo compared to how you used to be.
Well, and that's what the trailer is.
Yeah, totally.
It's like there's literally someone talking over the top of the whole trailer going, this is how this works, this is how this works. It's not actually a story trailer.
I didn't even want to bring it up at the start, but it's actually a very clunkily put together trailer, in my opinion. There's some really weird, like, speed ramps, hard cuts, music choices that are like, they use the Halo music at the start to be really dramatic as they just pan over some stuff. And it's like, there's, again, just watch it one more time and be like, this feels slapped together. Kind of like out of current media.
It did feel like that, but like, I mean, that is the thing. Like, I'm only criticizing the trailer. I'm not actually criticizing anything about the game. So, Pete, just give me a 30-second explanation. What happened to Cortana? She's bad now? Is she the villain in this?
Yeah.
Is she the guy with the beard?
From Halo 1, they established that the AIs have like a 7-year lifespan, and then they go rampant. They go, like, they have too much information and it drives them insane.
Yeah, that's good.
So by the end of 3, she's going rampant. And
okay.
That was part of 3, was that you were trying to save the universe and your companion was falling apart inside your head and then inside this system that was external to you but also affecting you. At the end of 4, she dies, you think.
Right.
And then they brought her back in 5. That part of her survived inside the old ancient Forerunner technology, and she's been growing more powerful inside that, and more crazy. And she's bad in the sense that she's bad in the sense that it's like she is trying to bring peace to the galaxy by being like this oppressor with she's she's now controlling all the Forerunner technology.
Yeah, right.
And has the most powerful weapons in the galaxy pointed at all the systems, going like, just behave, and I won't shoot you. Just behave.
Good
and
intentions, bad execution.
Yeah. So that happened in 5, where there's an encounter with Cortana in chief, and she like shuts him down. She's like tries to freeze him for 10,000 years or something. She's like, in 10,000 years, when there's peace across the whole universe, you'll thank me.
Cool.
Just wait here for a bit.
But her lifespan's only supposed to be 7. How crazy is she going to be in 10,000 years?
I mean, I think like by like separating her core into a more powerful technology, she's actually has better control. But she's like, she is the villain in this, but she's not in control of the bad guys you see here, which are the Banished, which are like, they're a subsect of the Covenant that don't want to destroy the universe.
They want to be bad guys still, probably. And then the idea looks like you take on a new AI who is kind of like there to... She says in the trailer, I think, it's like, I'm here to find Cortana and...
Figure out what went wrong.
Figure out what happened to her or something. Yeah. So you'll have this kind of naive, rebooted version of an AI that is voiced by the same voice actress. And then maybe Cortana will show up in the remnants of something that's landed on this ring. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da.
Yeah, cool. Dongalev in the chat said, but they put her in Windows. What's wrong with my computer?
They put her in Windows.
Yeah. They put her something powered down.
It's just my camera battery. There you go. So, Pete, why don't you take the lead on the Facebook thing?
Sure, man. Let me bring up the script. Facebook is ditching the Oculus branding for its VR range of devices as part of the embattled company's newly announced name change to Meta. This is a Eurogamer article by
Halo.
Matt Wales. Halo. Cortana. Additionally, it says it plans to remove requirements to have Facebook account to use its hardware starting sometime next year. I don't know if people saw the Facebook Meta announcement, stream, trailer, production. It was just horrible.
Wasn't great.
And by horrible, I mean horrifying.
Sorry, is Nick's camera back, but he's not back now? Has he powered
that's
down?
Normal. That's normal. I think he's gone behind the desk.
Fair enough.
Zuckerberg once again tried to present as human.
This is terrible.
And then failed to present as human. The thing is, there's so much good production in this that we know that there was an excellent editor who cut all this together, who would have had a brief of make Mark Zuckerberg look good. And they did that with all the rushes they had, and this is the best they could do.
Why do they even bring everyone? He knows the joke here is like they should have hired who's a charming actor right now that if you put him through all of this as the face of it and paid them a bill. I mean, you're not wrong.
Mario.
Like, if you made this all with Chris Pratt, I'd find it
Chris Pratt, but yes, yeah. Give this to Ryan Reynolds. Give Ryan Reynolds
Give $1 billion to Ryan Reynolds or Chris Evans or, like, I don't know why we're picking generic American white guys, but that's what I'm seeing when I'm seeing Mark Zuckerberg.
Give it all to Idris Elba.
Like, and just if you had them walk through everything.
Would do it.
No, that's true.
For any amount of money. Matt Damon would do it. Matt Damon's a bit shit too.
Matt Damon would do it. Oh my god. Can you jump to so first of all, the big thing about this, like,
focus on the VR
touched on, is that to focus on the game thing, is that they're ditching the Oculus branding, so that they're making Meta VR headsets now, not Oculus VR headsets, and they are this is all to just make everything cohesive.
Which, I think just quickly, sorry, I was going to say, it sucks, but it's like, I understand, because we talked about the fact that Meta is going to be the umbrella company that's still going to keep Facebook, still going to keep Instagram, they're still going to keep all the branding and the work that's done to establish those names, because it's not like Facebook's icon when your mum uses it is now going to say Meta, it's just going to say owned by Meta. Oculus, I love, but like the VR headset is the thing that's going to be the biggest draw card to go into the metaverse. So I think that's why they've obviously gone, this has to have the branding of Meta on it. This can't be Oculus owned by Meta. They're like, this has to be the gateway into everything that we're seeing Zuckerbot do in this trailer. So it's like, this is what, and again, they didn't, I think there'll probably be something where it's like, they never named it Oculus to begin with. They just bought it. So it's like we need to now really put our hooks into it and call it our product. Sorry, Nick. Go on.
No, that's fine. I totally agree with all that. And then I think just like, so that's like a small thing, but broadly speaking, we touched on this on the Thursday show, just the idea of like what this is, like it really is trying to like gamify your life, bring you all into this virtual world, this sort of like bringing people together thing. I just think that all of this is awful. And it's just... I just hate what this person thinks the world should be. And he's using his power to force the world to be what he wants it to be. Like, he wants this to happen. And so he's just bringing everything he can to bear on our lives to force us to interact with each other like this.
Yeah, but I don't understand how a company like Facebook and a person like Mark Zuckerberg can think this is going to fucking work. It's failed multiple times.
Yeah,
like no one fucking wants to do it. No one cares, and no one wants to do it. And it's like, why do they keep
hope
trying?
You're right. I really hope you're right, because like I just hate...
all these VR world things is just fucking awful.
They
VR
actually
sucks.
are. Like VR doesn't suck,
and
but
then
VR doesn't
hanging out with people in VR is even worse.
Yeah, and being like a cartoon character in like everything they're showing. Like the worst part of this was they showed off that like you saw that like wall ball art thing before, and it's like they're admiring this graffiti thing on a wall, and they're like, "Look how cool this is." And I'm like, "Oh my god! If Gus showed me this, I would unfriend you. Like, this is the least interesting thing I've ever seen." And then it starts to fade, and they're like, "Oh, it's fading away." And Zuckerberg's like, "Let me just tip the artist so it stays around here longer." And I'm like, that whole interaction sounds horrific. That all sounds terrible.
Yeah.
First of all, that artist should not be paid for that piece of shit. But then any way of like, you're putting microtransactions in my ability to look at a picture? Come on.
It's weird because like also
You can hang your NFTs.
It's so awkward when you force this kind of concept development stuff, this futurist concept development, in a real trailer that is all conceptual at this stage. Like, there was some small little bits of him saying, this is attached to this real world thing, or this is something we're working on, but it is all high concept. I think the world only likes seeing that stuff in fiction, and then when the world plays catch up,
I want to see Tom Cruise doing it.
No, that's what I mean. Everyone
like,
likes
Ready
to
Player
see.
One would be awesome. Like when you watch it in a movie, or actually no, it was terrible, and it was bad as a book. The idea is fun though. But then if it comes to you in real life, you're like, no, I'd like to go out in the garden occasionally.
Or real life technology plays catch up very slowly, bit by bit, and suddenly like there is one thing VR can do, and I'm like, that's kind of cool. And it's like, just don't try and jump ahead of it as the product, because it's creepy. It gives you more time to realize that I don't want this thing in real life. Like, as I said, through the like lens of fiction and all that kind of stuff, I feel like futurism can be really exciting because it's something you dream about rather than see it being sold to you as it hasn't been made yet. It gives everyone a yuck feeling versus like, I mean, you watch this video as a fake trailer in a movie when there's an evil man going, we're going to bring the world together, like a RoboCop kind of TED Talk scene, and it's like, I don't know, it's more digestible. I just find it when it's real like this, especially through him, obviously, it's just so creepy and nauseating, because it's like, you can't even make this stuff yet, and it's what you're dreaming of doing, but not for good reasons. It's weird. It's fun. Yeah, and like, just to add my point about real people in VR, like, Peter, I think you're wrong. VR is cool, but it needs to go in the right directions and be interesting. When the one or two times I've done a real world interaction in it, I went to the cinema where you can sit in it and people can pop in and out. And every time I'd pop in and someone was streaming some shit old movie, and you look to your left and there's an avatar who just looks at you and goes, "After all, while a growing number of..." And you're like,
that's funny once.
Doing the
everyone does it.
Circle
finger into it, or like a jerky motion, and like it's every time. Every time you play VR poker, someone does something
terrible.
rude at you.
Why do you think that's good?
I don't. I'm saying that I agree. Interacting with people in VR is a horrible thing that we have not got right, and will not get right for a long amount of time. I won't be a cute robot playing poker with my friends in space. I'll just be
It's not just the lies of this shit as well. It's like, look at this amazing virtual future, and it's like, That dude sits down and he's wearing his nice glasses and he's in the virtual world. And it's like, no, he has to wear a fucking headset.
He has a headset.
And he's hot in 20 minutes.
Yep.
He's sweating like a motherfucker. He's not comfortable in his living space.
Nope.
He's having a shit day.
And a 3D coworker walks past and waves. Where are they? What are they doing? Why are they walking if they're in VR too? Like, what the fuck?
And why are they here? Why are they here when I'm in my desk? Also, I watched it and the last thing, I don't understand why. Like, it's the hubris of Zuckerberg. There's not a single person on the planet who likes him, and that's a fact. That's not hyperbole. That's just a fact. Like, even if you like
even
Facebook,
his wife,
you think he's a dick. I don't know why he is leading this. And this is the moment, Pete, I was going to get you to skip to. So this woman is talking about using how they've upgraded the VR headset.
Who cuts his hair?
Jack, turn the audio up.
All right, so let's talk about some of the new advances here.
Yeah, sure.
It doesn't matter. He literally just did it. But she introduces an idea. He then goes and talks about that idea to her, explaining the idea to her. And it's like, I know.
She came up with
it. It was my idea. And he's sitting there reading a script to her instead of telling it to he's just incapable of being a fucking person. And because he's incapable of being a person, he's like, well, the only way that we can do it is, the only way that I can be a person is if I'm a fucking cartoon character in playing cards with a robot. And that's the only way that I'll be able to finally blend in with society. You're an evil piece of shit who has damaged society, and now you want us all to move into your like fake fucking living room. Oh my God, I hate him so much. I hate him so much, and I cannot believe that he is the face of this thing. I hate this thing. Flames of the side of my face. Anyway, Facebook is not going to use the Oculus branding for their VR headsets. Let's just smash through the rest of the news.
Yeah, we got to power through this shit.
There's a WB fighting game that has been rumored for a while. This is a Smash Brothers or Nintendo All-Star Brawl style fighting game. It had been rumored for a little bit, and apparently NetherRealm was who was developing it. That has been apparently not confirmed, or confirmed that it's not NetherRealm, but there was a screenshot of a roster of this game floating around. Jeff Grubb has also confirmed that this thing is in the works. This fighting game has one of the best lineups of fighters in recent memory. Batman, Wonder Woman, Harley Quinn, Superman. That all sounds very normal. Mm-hmm. Steven Universe, Finn and Jake from Adventure Time, Rick, and I assume also Morty at some point, Bugs Bunny, Tom and Jerry, Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, and Gandalf the Grey. Gandalf fighting Batman. That's
amazing.
I mean, no, it's more Gandalf fighting... No, you're right, actually. The most grounded and serious superhero is the funniest version of all of that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gandalf. So this is, obviously, this is all Warner Brothers licensed characters coming together in this. According to Jeff Grubb, who was talking on his show Grub Snacks at the end of last week, apparently it looks cheap. It could be a free-to-play title. And they're planning on releasing characters as DLC, obviously. One of the first characters that could be coming as DLC, so keeping in mind, Batman, Bugs Bunny, Rick, Shaggy, Gandalf, LeBron James. LeBron James.
Ew. Oh, because he was in the movie.
Jam.
Well, this is the thing. This is echoing what we saw with the
But Harry
Space
Potter
Jam.
could come as well.
The Space Jam remake was the biggest issue people...
I mean, arrive at the game.
There you go. You shall not. Oh God. The thing we saw the most of in the Space Jam movie was the really like unashamedly insert of Warner Brothers IP characters in the background of the crowd, which everyone pointed out. Like, I haven't seen the film. I don't plan to. It looks terrible. But every basketball game had a crowd of Warner Brothers property characters that were like the biggest mismatch of stuff that you're like, I kind of like that. I did like that. I hated that. Or like, it just nothing gelled. And it was like, they had all the like the bad guys from the Clockwork Orange gang like in the crowd, all like they were the ones that were pointed out as like, what the fuck are they doing here? So this feels like a kind of like the same vibe. It feels like fucking. It feels like Space Jam the Fighter. Like, I don't know.
That's cool.
No, it's not.
That works in a fighter scenario. It works in the same way that Smash Bros works. I think
Yeah,
so.
totally. And
There's a
Nickelodeon
palette to
works,
that. There's a vibe
There's
to
fucking not.
that. There's less now that there's more bipedal
There's
JRPG
Sephiroth
fighters. There's Sephiroth.
Well, the hard thing about the Gandalf has not been represented as like a cartoon character or an like. There's been a video game of Lord of the Rings, but like you think when you think Gandalf, you think Ian McKellen.
Ian McKellen.
Yeah.
And when you think Harry Potter, you think of Daniel Radcliffe. When you think of LeBron James, you think of LeBron James. So it's when these people get translated into whatever the art style of this game will be. That's the weirdness of they also need to be existing in the same like art universe as Batman. And that's entertaining.
I'm always thinking,
we'll see.
Sir Ian, Smash Brothers fighter, Gandalf, Sir Ian.
Announcement that Amy Hennig, she of Uncharted fame, is working on it was in 2019. Got announced that she was working on a big AAA story-driven game. We didn't know what it was, and it turns out it is a Marvel game because there's not enough Marvel games at the moment. All we've got so far is the Guardians of the Galaxy game, the new Spider-Man game with Venom, the Wolverine game, Marvel Midnights, which is that XCOM game, and then a couple of mobile games. We've got the Avengers game, and then we've now also got Amy Hennig's Marvel game. There's no word on what it is. We don't know what universe she's like, which part of the Marvel universe she's playing in, but she says she's very excited to do it. And the biggest thing that came out of this story was the knowledge that I found out that she's writing on Forspoken.
Really?
She's listed as a writer for Forspoken, which gives me hope for Forspoken.
Yeah,
but also
it's
makes
a really
me go,
fun title to hear you say.
go.
She's writing for Forspoken.
Has she lost her touch?
Yeah. The first thing I would have written is the title. Like anything else. So we'll see. And that's all I have to say about that. PAX South was cancelled in America. Cancelled as in PAX South is not going to be happening anymore. This is the Texas-based PAX event because there's PAX East and PAX West, and then there was PAX South. They said that, they gave the statement of the normal, like, it's been incredible and never in our wildest dreams, blah, 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 blah. But it has expanded in the way that they hoped, that in the same way the others have, and that it hasn't sort of met the expectation of development, and it's kind of the same thing it was in 2015. This has led some people in Australia to be worried that PAX Australia will be cancelled. And I don't know about you guys, but I kind of go, I think the difference here is like PAX South was kind of like there's PAX East, PAX West. There may even be a PAX North. Like, sure, America is huge, but there's lots of other PAXs going on. PAX in Australia is the only thing happening, and it seems to be getting bigger every year. So I think it's probably safe.
I'd hope so.
Yeah, it's had reasonable growth. I think I'm sure they've looked at PAX over the last 2 years with COVID and gone like, is it worth hanging on to? And I hope the answer is yes, because the Australian public need it, gaming public need it, nerd culture public need it. It's such a cool thing for us to have.
But also to not have anything.
Cross all your bits.
As you said, Nick, to not have anything else as an alternative, like to miss out on PAX South and think, okay, it might come back next year, but the people who are gagging to go to something could have found us something else to go to. The fact that we haven't had it for 2 years, and we haven't really had a replacement, I think just drives hype and drives expectation for when it comes back. And we got a lot of that through our community and through people we spoke to. It's like people weren't going, well, it's not around anymore, I guess I don't ever want to go to it again. It's like, kind of works the opposite. People are like, I can't wait for it to come back. There was that surge. Unfortunately, it had to go virtual again this year, but like, say everything does clear up and things get better, I think, it'll come back with a heap of force. So yeah, I don't think it's going away. I just think it's when can we come back and come back officially, or we being Australians. PAX.
Yeah.
And I think it's also
there definitely would have been more people that walk through the doors of it is. There definitely would have been more people walking through the doors of PAX South than walk through the doors of PAX Oz. Just by sheer volume of numbers.
They said 3,000 people came to.
Well, that's fucking tiny.
Yeah, to PAX South. So
what year?
So to arrive.
Because I think we'd come back with force next year for sure. But I think if they do, then hopefully the next year they still see some growth year on year from 3 years where
Wait, sorry. Were you saying PAX Australia or PAX South?
South.
Yeah, so PAX South, they said 3,000, in the article I read, they said 3,000 people, and it's kind of held around that the whole time.
Yeah, right.
But
It's tiny.
PAX Australia has way more than that.
Yeah, that has way more.
It's tons.
That has way more.
So, yeah, I think we're fine.
There's Andy. There's everyone else.
Yep, exactly. You need these events because you lost one for next year, and that's Blizzard has cancelled BlizzCon Line 2022. They announced that they had plans for that happening early next year, and that's not going to happen. Whatever the event, in a blog post, they said whatever the event feels like in the future, we also need to ensure it safe, well, inclusive as possible. We're committed to continual communication with our players, and we see BlizzCon playing a big part in that role going forward. A big role in that going forward. We're excited about what we'll do with the event when we revisit it in the future. And it's just like, I mean, as an event, that whole thing about like people coming together because they love this company more than anything else, and they feel it's a safe and welcoming community. I mean, the brand has been tainted to the point that like I wouldn't be surprised if it just doesn't happen again at all. But there's definitely no way it would happen next year.
Yeah. It sucks because like the people that work there are people that loved Blizzard when they arrived.
Yeah.
You know, it's such an iconic gaming brand. I hope they can fix their internal problems and refocus and keep making great games. And because I've been to one BlizzCon and it was by far the best convention I've ever been to.
Yeah.
And you know, kill the bad ones. And I still think there's a really strong company there. They've struggled for a few years to put out games that have captured a bigger audience, but yeah, I would love for them to come around, but you know, fix your shit first.
Fix your shit first, and then we'll come to your thing. And we'll just scrap the announcements and delays thing because there's nothing in there I think that's massively important in a world where we're running over time already.
In a world.
That's news that's happened this week. There's nothing else you need to know.